When I was a kid, I did junior drag racing with my dad. Very small dragsters, about 14 feet long, with one-cylinder Briggs & Stratton engines, making about 25 horsepower. Kind of graduated from those cars to big cars, door cars. Bought a 1979 Pontiac Firebird from one of our neighbors. He gave us a sweet deal on it. Through college, through community college, through 4-year, went out to Famoso Raceway. That's kind of where a lot of my drag racing happened, down in Bakersfield, California. It's this drag strip in the middle of fruit and nut orchards. There's a very distinct smell certain types of year. The farmers will take all of there's giant piles of rotting fruit very close to the track. It has a very distinct, there's like a sweet, citrusy smell, but it also has a very weird kind of decaying undercurrent. If you've been there, you know what it smells like. I'll never forget it, but yeah, just kind of like growing up around muscle cars and hot rods and dragsters out there, I think really informed a lot of my tastes today, obviously. During that time, not only were we racing, but I also crewed on a nostalgia funny car team. And what that is all about is capturing kind of the funny car scene of the 1970s and 80s. All the bodies are vintage looking. Some of them have liveries from dragsters of that era. The Flying Hawaiian is one of them. I was recruited into that. My dad was previously already crewing on the team. He brought me in. This is this great group of guys. I was working on a car called Smokey's Dark Side. We ran a 74, 76 Challenger body. Really cool looking car. We ran a 392 Hemi. And I was the bottom end guy. So what I would do, my job was after each round, the car would be lifted in the air on these awesome air jacks. I climb under there, take the bottom pan off the car, drain the oil, make sure that's coming out. It's hot, I don't know how familiar you are with funny cars, but they run very hot. They're burning nitromethane. The clutch packs themselves, it effectively welds itself together. Everything's very hot under there. And you're gonna get some of that oil in your face. It's not fun, but that's why you wear safety glasses. You're gonna get in your hair. It's gonna be all over your clothes. You're gonna smell like it the whole weekend. You just gotta get over it. After the oil's drained, take that oil pan off, and you work in conjunction with the guys on the top end who are taking the cylinder heads off and working with them to push the pistons and cylinders out from the bottom. And then after everything's been taken apart, new parts are going back in. Or in our case, service parts. Our car didn't have the highest budget. As a result, sometimes there's times where we're reusing parts. Other teams might have had the budget to, sometimes they would just throw an entirely new engine into the car. That was a great learning experience. Made a lot of friends. Then it was time for college, At the end of college, in my senior year, I was studying TV production at CSU Northridge. Had to have an internship to graduate. And at that time, I'm probably like a lot of you guys watching this. I'm watching car YouTube like obsessively. I'm watching guys like that dude in blue, David Patterson, what's up? Motor Trend, Matt Farah at the time, just like wanting to do this so badly. Not really having an outlet for myself either. Like I had a couple GoPros and I had plans of doing it myself, but with college, just kind of being overwhelmed. I never really pursued a channel on my own. But, I knew that there were automotive outlets in Los Angeles at the time, and I reached out to a couple of them, including a little channel I knew about called Donut Media. Donut was the only one that got back to me, which is pretty cool. Because at the time, it was like 6 or 7 people. The CEO at the time, Matt, was like, hey, we're really busy right now, but hit me up in a month and I'll get back to you. So in my phone, like a month to the hour, I set a reminder myself, like email Donut again, and was able to set up an interview. I went down to the office and had an interview with Levon, Jesse, and one James Pumphrey. I don't know how I got the internship. Started going in every Friday, kind of just helping out around the office and just kind of getting a sense of how it worked. Finally I was like, all right, sweet. Like at the time they were doing videos, working with Chris Forsberg and Ryan Turk and like building cars and stuff. And I was like, yes, that's what I'm gonna be doing. And that wasn't really the case. That was kind of like my first sense of like, oh, this YouTube thing is a little different than what I thought. I'm not hanging out with these Formula Drift guys building drift cars every day. I was organizing production binders and, starting to slowly learn how like Adobe worked, A couple months go by, I graduate with my degree, finally took 6 years. Guys, don't be too prideful to just go to that community college first. I flunked out at first, had to go back home and start all over. It's fine, you can do it. to my amazement, got hired as a freelancer for Donut, which I thought was the coolest thing in the world. And kind of, again, really started learning the ropes of editing. And mostly what I did for several months was just create news videos for the Facebook page. But that was, I didn't really want to be editing. I wanted to really be writing. Always had a knack for writing. Once we started shifting away from kind of the branded and ad content that we're making for other brands, Donut decided that it was time to start our own original series and really grow our own brand on YouTube. And that's when Up to Speed came around. The first couple episodes blew up Facebook. I think the GTR episode got like hundreds of thousands of views on Facebook in the first day or so. It was just, we were blown away. But as soon as that, started, I was like, oh, I want to be working on that. I want to write that. So after a few weeks of kind of like, hey, can I try this out? They were like, all right, cool. We'll try you on Mustang. And it was amazing because like I drove a Mustang at the time, still do, but I love the Mustang, very special car to me. And I deliver a script that's 6 pages long. Meanwhile, at the time, the most we're going for was like 3 pages. I left in, much like my story, left in a lot of extraneous details that were probably not very important. And they said, okay, obviously you can put words on a page, but we need you to kind of pare it down into something that actually works. So again, a lot of mentorship from James and Bart on this front. And, eventually started regularly writing Up to Speeds. And then, not to be content with that, the next step was like, okay, how do I go from writing a show to hosting one? Much in the same way of trialing me on the Up to Speed scripts, it was like, okay, let's see how you do with news again. So for 2 weeks on Facebook, we did like a show called Donut News. So for Donut News, I would research stories in the morning, write the script, then we'd shoot before lunch, and then after lunch, edit the video and post it by like 4 p.m. And these were like 2 to 3 minute news videos. For one person to be doing that, it was a little much. So after 2 weeks, we kind of had to stop because I was getting pretty burned out. But they, saw that I was somewhat competent at being on camera. And it was like, okay, let's try another kind of current event news show, but on a weekly basis instead of daily. And that's how Wheelhouse came about. And we did Wheelhouse for years. I think there's over 200 Wheelhouse videos on pretty much any topic that you could imagine. If it happened in the car world, we probably covered it in some capacity. And if we didn't, then it's because I couldn't find a sexy angle on it, and I'm sorry. So after the successes of Up to Speed and Wheelhouse and the other shows, we decided to get into car builds. We started a series called High Low. 2 identical cars, one built with expensive parts, one built with cheap parts. See which one wins. It's usually the expensive one. A lot of fun shooting with High Low. It's probably my favorite thing to do on the channel. It's very physically taxing. We are definitely in that shop for 4 to 6 weeks, hammering away on these cars. But, it's weird because when you want to get into YouTube, you think that making videos is kind of the only thing you do, when really that's only about 10 to 20% of the actual job. Like, there's so much preparation that goes into each video. Especially me personally, I really pride myself on the fact that all the videos that we make, I think there's something that the audience can come away with that's valuable. A lot of research goes into our scripts. Our directors always want to try new things visually, make it compelling to watch, not just like listen to in the background, but really watch. That sounds very pretentious, I'm aware, but I mean, that's how I feel. Donut is different, I think, from a lot of other channels because of that kind of like ad house background that we came from. It wasn't ever just like one person who started a channel and then was able to grow it into a big company. It was already a production company. We approach things very differently. We've grown our staff now to a really amazing and robust stable of editors and directors. So, we'll have 3 or 4 videos in the pipeline at any given time. Wheelhouse and Up to Speed, those were shows that were made on a weekly basis where we write a script for 3 days, shoot it on Thursday, and then it starts getting cut on that Friday, But now, because of our production staff and our great producers who are so good at organizing when this stuff gets done, now we can have a lot more work in the pipeline than we have before. It's been an incredible journey so far, going from the guy who is still living in his childhood bedroom, watching car YouTube, to being in the place I am now. I love everyone at Donut so much. That building with just 6 people in it to now we're up to around 40 employees. and almost 8 million subscribers. It wasn't without learning a lot of lessons along the way and learning the realities of how this space really works. It's not just picking up a wrench and making a video. It can be, but there's also a lot of preparation and production and just organization that goes on behind the scenes. I guess I just want to thank everybody for watching this, and if you've supported Donut in the past, thank you very much.
When you get a ticket, it might look something like this, but the first thing that you need to do is take a picture of that ticket and send it to 305-305. That will get the ticket clinic on your case immediately. They've got brick and mortar offices in Georgia, Florida, and California, but they can help you find a ticket no matter where you get it in the United States by helping you find a local attorney that will do everything they can to help you avoid costly fines, insurance premium increases, points on your license, risk of suspension, even jail time. They've helped me out with this ticket and many others, and a lot of my friends as well. So check them out now at the link in the description below, or again, text your ticket to 305-305 to get the ticket clinic on your case. They are the perfect partner in your fight against any speeding ticket.